Hello, welcome back to the James Ramblin' Reviews. Yet another episode. Time to dive into the Hobbit by J.R. Tolkien. For those who don't know, J.R. Tolkien is this famous author who actually made these fantasy stories basically discussing this world, this mythology, this idea, this philosophy of these mystical creatures and that stuff. This is actually one of the first books that he ever made in 1937, and the anniversary is September 21st, and for some reason the Rings of Power didn't come out on September 21st to commemorate this prequel. And yeah, as I said, I'm not going to release this on September 2nd. I'm not Rings of Power because I respect Tolkien. I might have done it in a respectful way, but I didn't want to release it as Rings of Power dropped. Wasn't going to be into that. So The Hobbit, right? The first thing that came to mind with The Hobbit, because this is the same thing with the Lord of the Rings movies, right? I was like, I knew about the movies more than the book itself, or the books in this case. I knew about the movie than the book. Same with The Hobbit. I knew about the movies more than the book itself, right? And I said that Lord of the Rings, right, it has the movies and the books, right? And then The Hobbit has the book and the movies. It became a trilogy somehow. So we found a way, right? But The Hobbit, I've not rewatched the Hobbit movies as much as, say, the Lord of the Rings movies. I've not rewatched the Hobbit movies as much as them, which kind of factors into how I felt about this book in general. So, The Hobbit takes place before the events of Lord of the Rings and that stuff. And in the Lord of the Rings, you know about Bilbo Baggins. Well, he makes more of a presence in this book because it's to do with him, and he has to take out Smaug, which is this dragon. And he has Gandalf, you already know, he basically meets Gandalf and that stuff. And the first chapter reminded me of the Lord of the Rings, because it's an unexpected journey, I think it said, or unexpected party or something like that. So it's a similar style, because this is actually sort of similar, as it is a prequel. So, and it has 19 chapters, so it's actually shorter than every book in the Lord of the Rings sort of trilogy for J.R. Tolkien. So there's that stuff. That's kind of the plot and sort of the chapters and all that. The thing is with this book, right? I thought the book was gonna actually be decent. I thought it was gonna be decent, but I don't think this book matches my enjoyment of the Lord of the Rings books. Definitely not, because it's much shorter. There's less content. There's less information, there's less of everything basically. This was actually a children's narrative, and J.R. Tolkien actually used to tell bedtime stories to his children about these hobbit creatures and all of that. He had all these ideas, told all these stories, and this man is a badass because I think he wrote this during the war, which is absolutely crazy. The man is in it. The man has actually created some decent books, but as for this book, right, I don't know what it was. It's just the thing is where, right, a point is, right, The Hobbit just has this thing where it just focuses a lot on just Bilbo Baggins' journey, and I understand that is the point, but I feel like because of the Lord of the Rings and how that's kind of where I stand with this, and how that actually has a lot more characters' perspectives, and it shows you these different characters. It's not just about hobbits and all that. I mean, Gandalf is in this book, but it just shows you this whole journey about Bilbo Baggins going to get a dragon and slaying it. And that's basically the story. It's a basic story, 300 pages. Don't know why it's even a book at this, a movie series. It could have worked as one movie, but we can't really change that anyways because the movies came out so long ago. So that's my thoughts on the book itself. Would I recommend it? I mean, I would recommend it if you want to get into reading fantasy and J.R. Tolkien especially, I personally actually would start with this because it's a prequel, so it would make more sense if you got into that first. However, with that said, it doesn't really matter because the Lord of the Rings, you can start with it, start whatever you want. Start whatever you want, right? Because this book, it's not the best J.R. Tolkien book in my opinion, but it's not bad either. It's still a readable book. That is sort of my takeaway for this one. I've not reviewed books in a while on this show, so yeah, that's my review. It's a mid recommendation. I would recommend it on the basis if you want to get into reading, want to get into Tolkien, want to understand the lore, want to understand the context, all of that stuff. But if you're going in just to enjoy it, like in my experience, I never really enjoyed this as much. I was just like this, right? I was just like reading it. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. I was just reading through the chapters, and then I was like, okay. I see what's going on. They're doing this and that and this and that and this and that. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. Okay, it's over, right? I think I've said enough about this book. Gonna be another little short review because I don't really do like long reviews, and of course I will be reviewing the Silmarillion, which I've been reading. Oh man, that is a great book indeed. So yeah, see you next week for another review. We'll probably do a Saturday release, and then actually before we go, expect a review for this one, right? After the Silmarillion, I'll be deeply diving into The Unfinished Tales by J.R. Tolkien, which we will dive into. Right, this is a big book indeed, right? I'm gonna end this review because I actually have a freaking habit of, going on for ages and then realising I should have ended it earlier. Okay, bye. Right. Hobbit. Mid recommendation. Bye.